think about what kind of leader you want to be for yourself. Things have gotten difficult. Things haven't gone the way we wanted. The market is contracting. The market is in a difficult spot. There's all kinds of uncertainty that's out there. So you can choose to be that leader that you want to see, that you want to work with, that you want to work for, that when things go bad, it doesn't turn into micromanaging and squeezing more and expecting more in a tougher situation.
And look in the mirror and say, how good of an agile coach was I? Did I have the chops for it, or was I just sort of riding the golden train? Be honest. If I was riding the golden train and getting the certs and cha-chinging, and I really didn't have the chops, and you can compare yourself to other people around you, Josh and I, whoever, inside your company, outside your company, and if you come up wanting, then that may be the reason why you're struggling. Entry music, da 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh Show.
We're going to talk about being me first, but probably not in the way you normally think of being me first. This is a follow-up, not necessarily a part 2 to the previous networking discussion.
Don't do it, Bob. I disagree. This is close enough to be a part 2 to the last episode, my friend. Come on, give it to me.
I as soon as those words started to come out of my mouth, I tried to reel them back in. So I decided to just let it happen and maybe see if I could attack it.
There, and I was going to be on the door. I was going to be on the door train no matter what.
Okay, so on a somewhat follow-up to the previous episode about networking, which you listened to completely, right, everybody? Right, okay, good. If not, click a link and go listen to it.
Go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
And it'll be a nice segue into this one.
Exactly. So we would like to encourage our listeners and viewers to be me first, but by me first, we'll just hit that right away. What we mean is looking at ourselves, looking in the mirror at what do we need to change? How do we need to adjust what we're doing to change the situation that we're in? Be it the team I'm leading isn't performing like I'm hoping, expecting them to. My job search isn't going the way that I want it to go. A relationship I have isn't going the way I want it to go. I'm not getting the promotion that I want, or whatever the challenge is that in front of you. We are challenging you to hit the pause button and take a strong look at yourself and start with me. What can I change within me, and where can I go? What experiments can I run? What do I need to change? Because otherwise, you're just going to be sitting there waiting. And we found that waiting doesn't work and gets kind of boring and frustrating. So get out there and make some changes. That's today's episode. We'll cover a whole gamut of different things that we're seeing across the industry and market now, but it's me first, differently. Okay, Bob, I relinquish control and hand to you.
Well, the genesis, Metacasters, is I was whining a little bit, and I know that comes as a shock, so sit down, right? And I was whining to myself. I was observing. So I'm out there interacting with people. A lot of this is job market. So folks are looking for jobs. They're approaching me. I'm seeing green banners on LinkedIn. I'm seeing interaction. I'm seeing people post things on LinkedIn. Hire me, hire me, hire me. Or why haven't I been hired? Why haven't I been hired? Why haven't I been hired? I'm hungry. And I see this cast of stuff, and my heart goes out to folks initially. My heart is going out to folks. But I'm also thinking of what is the strategy? And there's a general strategy that I've seen or trend on folks that they're very me-centric, meaning help me, find me a job, hand deliver a job to me. I find that people will reach out to me and say, Bob, here's my resume, find me a job, contact me with a connection. And I understand that. That's very self-centric. I almost think it's selfish to some degree. It's self-centric, like it's an easy button. Hit the easy button and say, I need something. And the two things that I brought up to Josh, I think we're going to explore under this banner of be me-centric, but in a different way, is what are you doing to look in the mirror and change you? And then the other thing is, what are you looking to help other people? So to be me focused, but Me, what am I doing to help others? So instead of helping yourself, help yourself, that's part of it. Look for work, that's part of it. But I have this weird idea that if you're out there helping other people, and I've walked this talk for a long time, that the universe, that you get positive things your way. And that could be a really good pivot to a job search strategy of maybe I search half of every day, I search for myself, and then half of every day, I ask myself, what can I do to help people in my network? And that's what goes back to the last episode. How am I building my network? Not by connection, but by assistance, but by lending a hand outward. And if I give that, do I receive? And my supposition is you do. And it might even accelerate, not might, I believe it would accelerate your search. So that's set the setup a little bit more, Josh. Any reactions?
Yeah. So Bob and I in last episode have talked about how more than 80% of the jobs that we've gotten have been because of network, like active networking, not passive,
Yeah.
not LinkedIn, but active. We are out helping, doing, promoting others, whatever it might be. And that's how we've gotten jobs. When I get stuck, what I think of is nothing's going to change until something changes. And I can sit around and wait for something to change. But the thing that I have the most control over is myself. So I started looking at what can I do to change the situation. And so that's usually something hard. That's usually something uncomfortable. That's usually something I probably know I should have been doing, but I've been avoiding it. And so I have to buckle down and do the thing that I've been avoiding because it's the right thing to do. So that's step one, is the easiest, which isn't always easy, the easiest thing or the most directly affectable thing for you to drive change is yourself. So start there. And that's always where I start out.
I mean, one thing to think about under this topic is I encounter a lot of people who are, so the agile market has gotten disrupted. The agile coaching Scrum Master market has gotten disrupted. The change agent market has gotten disrupted. But a lot of people are still looking for those roles. And they refuse to pivot from those roles, but they also refuse to look in the mirror and say, do I have the skills? Was I part of the problem in that I was coaching when I shouldn't have been coaching? And I don't have enough strength. And that's the reason it's the market is flat, but at the same time, another part of the problem is me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I honestly, and this is, I'm trying to be clear, Metacaster. So if I'm that person, part of the me is look in the damn mirror. And I'm going to put the gloves off today. Not that I'm going to be nasty, but I'm going to try not to be so kind, just to be clear. And look in the mirror and say, how good of an agile coach was I? Did I have the chops for it, or was I just sort of riding the golden train? Be honest, if I was riding the golden train and getting the certs and cha-chinging, and I really didn't have the chops, and you can compare yourself to other people around you, Josh and I, whoever, inside your company, outside your company, and if you come up wanting, then that may be the reason why you're struggling. You can even look at your network and say, who am I connected to? Am I connected to great folks? Am I connected to mediocre folks? Whatever. And what do I want to be? And then part of the me is, if you're not willing to do the work or you can't ramp quickly, then pivot out of the role. Then get the hell out of the role. Go look for something else. Redefine yourself. Or if you're bound and determined to be an agile coach and you want to get a job, and everyone does, then you're going to have to raise the bar. And not in letters after your name, but in going and talk to Josh or me or other coaches, maybe going to get to some hard-earned training classes, not necessarily certs, but something, maybe pair with people, etc., and get your act together to get the chops. Both cases are hard. If you pivot, you're going to have to reframe yourself. If you double down, then you're going to have to actually put your money where your mouth is. But that's the me. Look in the mirror and then do something about, oh, I can't find a job. Well, you know what? Maybe you're not skilled enough. Maybe you have a chip on your shoulder. I see so many people that have this chip on. I want the perfect agile unicorn role, and until I find it, it's their fault. They're not investing in people enough. Well, you didn't invest in your skills for agile coach enough. So what are you judging them for? Right? Get your shit together. I guess is this point. So that's part of this me. It's like get out of the way or get in the game fully. But staying on the fence and whining, and you're hurting, not just hurting yourself, you're hurting other people. You're diluting the freaking market. You're missetting. So Josh, rein me in. I know you always do,
Yeah,
but
I don't know that it's a rein in. I think it's a yes and. I mean, it really is the point that we're trying to get across here is that, and Bob and I have proven this to ourselves, which is why we're so passionate about it, is that it is easy to blame the environment. It is easy to blame others. And yes, I am sure there are faults that have happened out in the universe, in the uncontrollable space that you can't do anything about. Sorry, that's life. So you have a choice. You have a choice now of you can choose what you expect to change. And you can expect yourself to make whatever change is necessary. And so it's hard to figure out what change you need to make. I understand that. But that's the number one thing you can control. That's the number one difference that you can make. If you're going to wait for the agile heyday to come back, you're probably going to be waiting for a while. So that's not an advisable strategy. You could do it. I wouldn't recommend it. That's certainly not what Bob and I are doing. And what you'll find is that when you get yourself to a place where you can have those honest discussions with yourself that Bob just talked about, you'll find yourself accelerating because you'll find yourself being able to navigate the ever-changing world that we live in, especially in the technology space, right? Like we live in one of the fastest changing spaces in probably the history of our world. That's a choice that you've made. So you can choose to sit by and watch it change around you and complain, or you can choose to constantly change with it and evolve and become what the market needs next, because who you are right now isn't what the market's going to need in 5 years. Who you are right now might not be what the market wants or needs right now.
right now,
Yeah.
right now.
And I understand hearing that sucks. Hearing that is a kick in the teeth. Not something you want to hear, not something that's fun, but you're going to have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off and say, all right, what am I going to do? What change can I make within me to make myself desirable in the market? What change within myself can I make to become better at whatever role I'm in so that I can separate myself? What are the things that I can do? And that's going to be the most effective strategy is the hard work. And I tell you what, when you get good at taking a hard, honest look at yourself, having that discussion with yourself and saying like, Josh, you have not been good enough at building your pipeline, at your network, at your marketing, and you're wondering why your sales for your consulting business isn't going the way you would like it to. Who else is there to blame? I can sit and, the tool that I was using isn't working, or people aren't, it's the market. People aren't buying. So it's just like, or I could say like, all right, what am I going to change? What do I have to do differently to get people to say, Josh, we got to get you in here to help us fix this. What can I do? What can I change? And so when you evolve to that, good things happen. Okay, Bob, I'll stop because I started rolling.
No, I mean, and it's just a yes and to some degree. The other thing, Metacasters, is part of this hard conversation with yourself is you've been trying to do things that you shouldn't. So I'll give you an example. I can't tell you how many agile coaches I know, scrum masters, they're coaching technology teams, they're coaching development teams, product development teams. They've never written a line of code in their life, and they're coaching development teams. For 20 years, 15 years, we've had this debate in the community around it, and the coders who are coaches don't they're not arguing it. They leverage that experience. They're not writing code necessarily for the developers or their teams, but they are code aware. They're architecture aware. They're technology aware, and it helps them. And then there's some folks who aren't. And the argument is, oh, you don't need to. Coach doesn't need to. The football coach doesn't need to have played football, or the soccer coach doesn't. And we sell ourselves on that. But you know what? It is something that helps. It is something that connects to a team. It is a connector. It's a value connector. It's an opinion connector. It's this person has walked. It's an empathy connector, and it's very useful. And you've been so for 10 years. If you've been sort of making your way in there and fighting these arguments, you know what? The market right now may be ejecting you. We don't need non-technical technical coaches. It doesn't make sense. We don't need plumbers who don't know what a pipe is. Right? They just coach other people to do plumbing. Right? They don't know what to do at all. And they typically ask the wrong questions. What, is white? Is that steel? Is it lead? Is it plastic? I don't know. What do you think? Right? It doesn't come off well. So I guess my rambling point is you may have to get out. You may have to say, you know what? That's not, I've been faking it, or I've been doing something that I'm not strong enough in anymore. And I need to go shift to someplace where I am strong. Like there's some areas where you're not going to be able to learn enough. The market is changing so quickly that you're not going to be able to catch up to it. So there's this hard reality, facing the hard reality. There was a golden age in our agile community. There's this golden age where we got away with crap. It's no longer there, and it's not going to be there anymore. And I'm sort of thankful that we're getting this comeuppance, and that's part of the me is looking in the mirror and being flat out honest with yourself. Put all the bullshit aside, all of the defensiveness, and just pull it away and say, who am I? Why am I doing this? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And pivot. How do I need to pivot to be successful?
Yeah, I think that I want to layer on top of that is you can and should. I'm a huge, passionate believer in this. Define who you want to be. But then once you do that, you got to work your freaking tail off to get there. It is not going to happen. It is you are going to have to do things differently. You are going to have to do hard stuff. You are going to get kicked in the teeth. You're going to try. You're going to fail. You're going to pick yourself back up. You're going to figure out, what do I need to do differently? And to me, I think that's the biggest challenge that I see folks wrestling with, which is why we invested in an episode on networking, because we didn't see enough people doing that. And we know it's hard, right? Bob and I don't love it, but we do it. We're not great at it, but we do it. And so there are things out there, the hard stuff that people are avoiding because it's scary or it's difficult or it's something they haven't done before. They've tried and stubbed their toe. So like, oh, I don't want to tackle that again. But again, it goes back to me. You have to make a change. You have to be willing to look inside and say, what am I going to do? There are two ways the pain is going to end. Either the pain's going to end because you sit there, nothing changes, and you die, so the pain's over, or you make a change and it happens, and that pain is gone. So it's gonna end. You can just choose to be an active participant in the pain going away, or you can take the passive approach and it'll eventually go away. It could be a long, painful road, but it's going to end one way or the other. So it's all about being an active participant in you achieving whatever you want to be. And to Bob's point, you may have to have a difficult discussion with yourself and say, I've been an agile coach for 10 years and it was great, and maybe that era is over. So what am I going to do? And I have been there. Think about just as someone in the technical space, starting out as a developer, the technology that I was using when I started 25 years ago, nobody uses that anymore, right? I I was lucky enough to be thrust into an industry where change was required, and if change happened, you were going to get left behind, and you weren't going to have a job. So that was part of me just trying to figure out, how do I maintain a job? How do I get the money coming in to build a family and to support them and do all that stuff? And it was learning, oh, okay, gosh, like I've got to learn web. Like I remember when web was coming out, I got to learn that. And then mobile came out. Okay, I got to go figure out how in the world to build mobile apps. Big data became a thing. I got to go figure that out, right? And that's just part of what you need to be doing right now.
But another example, Metacasters, I want to give you an example, is folks who lean into the frameworks. So you're an agile coach, scrum master, and by definition, a scrum master is leaning into the scrum framework, right? This, the scrum guide. But at the same time, if that's your only tool, if that's your only answer, if that's your only reference, and you're just mouthpiecing, historically for the last 5 years, you've been mouthpiecing what the scrum guide says, then your butt is in trouble because you have no other value other than the framework. And the value of the framework in real business, the frameworks, Scrum, Kanban, extreme programming, safe. If you just mouth safe, you were doing your, and you know this. If you look in the mirror and you're honest with yourself, it's like, shit, I've just been parroting the framework. I don't have the experience to understand pattern recognition. I don't have the experience to understand product development really well or product flow. I've just been parroting, flow, but it's flow from the perspective of the framework of SAFe or whatever it says for ideation, for innovation, etc. Then you're in trouble right now. And so that's another pattern that I've seen and that's part of this recognition of, I'm actually, if I peel the onion, what do I have? What is my agile experience? It's Scrum. Okay, then you need to do something about that. You need to augment that, and you need to augment it quickly. And it starts with awareness. It starts with honesty. It starts with maybe a way to get you all, sort of paying attention is radical candor with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is applying, and radical candor is applied from a point of relationship. You're having this conversation not to be cruel, but because you care. I care about me. I'm going to be honest with me, and I'm going to give myself honestly, radically candid feedback. Now, what do I do with that? So, and I think a lot of us, yes, the economy has disrupted us, but we're not responding well from a me perspective. It's all about job hunting, continuing the path, continuing what we've been doing. What is that Einstein thing? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, even if it starts failing. Well, we need to pivot from that insanity.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
One of the things that you will often, and appropriately so, you will often hear agile people spout on about is creating value. So let's go back to that example where Bob's talking about, I'm a Scrum person. That's what I do, or I'm safe. What value do you create when someone says, hey, we have a problem? And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Let me go check Safe 5.0. Right. And you flip through the pages. There it is. Okay. This is what we do. You don't add any value, right? Like we can search that. We can find that. So you have to deliver the thing that you've been professing on. You have to, as Bob has challenged, you have to take that very painful look at yourself and say, what value am I generating within the organization? What value am I generating within this company? What value can I generate within another company? How can I communicate that? What can I do? One of the things that I see many, many, many people do is their resume reads like a job description. They were a Scrum Master and they list job, like, this is what Scrum Masters do. I'm like, well, I'm assuming if you're a Scrum Master, you did those things. So that doesn't tell me you added any value. You were just parroting what the Scrum Guide said or what SAFe was telling you. Or if you were a release train engineer and you tell me you did what a release train engineer is supposed to do, like, okay, cool. Like we can, like that's not a differentiator, right? So you have to find a way to create differentiating value constantly. And the thing that you were doing 5 years ago to create that value likely has been automated or has evolved or has been
Exactly.
replaced or something like that. So you have to take that hard look at yourself and say, gosh, I got a little stuck in the mud there. And I kind of took it easy a little bit, and I rode the wave. And we've all been a part of it. We've all been there, and we've all had to like shake ourselves. And so that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to make sure that everybody has the confidence and willingness to shake themselves right now and say, this current situation is shitty. And what am I going to do about it? What am I going to change about it? How can I change myself? And so that's like the whole point of today's episode, is we just want somebody, anybody, to hit the pause button
Well,
and say,
well,
all
I
right,
want to
we're going to
switch.
have that talk. Okay, go.
Yes, and there's another part of the me shift, and the me shift is we. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what are you doing? So, this is another part of helping you grow. My hypothesis is if you switch from being me centric, it's about me. I get to have a job. What can you do, Josh, to help me? If I flip that thinking and say, Josh, and Josh, you and I have this discussion all the time. Not all the time, but very often when we're recording an episode, you're like, Josh, do you need any help? Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything I can do to help you? All right. And if Josh said, if he doesn't say anything, I'm like, cool, I'm off the hook. And if he says something, then I mean, he's my buddy. He's a
Yeah.
colleague. He's in my tribe. He's in my network. I will do whatever I can to help him. And it's not just Josh. I mean, I literally help hundreds of people, or probably thousands over the 20 years or something. And that's part of my shtick is it's not, yes, I care about me. Yes, I'm developing me. So there's one view of that me, and then there's the me we. What can I do to help others? And my experience is when I help other people, I get a payback. I'm paying it forward. The universe acknowledges that. And those people, I've gotten folks that I've helped, and 2 years later, they've come to me and said, Bob, I have a consulting opportunity. Would you like to come and help us? And it just didn't, I think part of it is the landing. It's the reciprocal land. It's the reciprocal landing. Or someone who's out of work and I've helped them get work. And then they've hired me or whatever over time. But again, I think we're too me focused, right? It's what are you doing to help you? What if you spent 50% or 40% of your time, whatever time you're investing in job searching or reframing or relearning, and you looked at what can I do to help others in the community? And think about that role model. Now they're helping you. Now they might be looking there as they're seeing jobs, they're thinking about you. This is why it's connected to networking. Networking is not just connections in LinkedIn. It's keeping those connections warm. And part of warming them is giving back to those connections, doing something demonstrable for those connections, caring about those connections and feeding those connections. And I see too much selfishness. And I think part of it, I understand, I'm broke. I need the money. Yes, I get it. I've been broke. I've been broke in my life, and I get that. But also, there's a strategy of giving to others too, and you'll get that payback. And I think I see that as being missing. Josh, weigh in.
Yeah. So one of the things that Bob and I have talked about is when we mentor people, one of the things that we really look for is that there's active engagement. And it's one of those things where it's hard for somebody to help someone that's not actively willing to help themselves. That's not a fruitful investment. And so if you want people to help you, you have to start with step one, which is helping yourself first. And then people will recognize that and continue to invest, and potentially invest more than you ever expected. That is one of the craziest things, is that when people see someone really working, really trying, really investing, the willingness that people have to help a person like that is immeasurable. Like the number of people that have helped me because they see I'm trying. I might not be succeeding, but I'm out there trying. I'm slipping and falling on my face, but people like, hey, the dude's trying. I'm gonna pour my effort and energy into somebody that I see that's giving it everything he's got. Maybe it's not all working, but there's a willingness to work on themselves, and so that's one of the key challenges. Is it all starts, and we're saying me in two conflicting ways. there's It's not about me, but it's about what can I change within me and being ready, willing, and able to make that happen.
And it's the reciprocal.
Yeah.
This is the law of attraction, everyone. I mean, again, you can see it in religious context, in spiritual context, you can see it in organizational context. I can see it as an organizational leader when I see people who care about themselves versus if I see team members who care about themselves, but they're also helping others develop, and they understand that. And I'm like, wow, that's exactly the kind of individuals and potential leaders that I'm looking for in the organization. They see they're not I'm going to use the word selfish, and I don't mean to offend, but it's a selfish orientation versus a sharing orientation. I do see a lot of selfishness out there, and as the pressure goes, as desperation increases,
Yes.
the selfishness factor seems to increase. And where, depending on where you're at, the more desperate you're looking for a job, I'm going to say something important. The more you should be giving stuff, you're putting other people above you, helping, or another way, helping other folks out. That's a secret sauce recipe. Run an experiment. You don't have to change your life. Run some experiments and see what happens. See what happens when you're putting people first. So, but again, it's putting them first, and guess what? You get a me. You get a reciprocal action on your part, and I've seen it time and time again. I've run my consulting business runs on that. My consulting business has run on that over the years, and I get referrals. It's a referral generating business, and it's all about that. Josh gets on me, Bob, you give away too much for free. Constantly he says that, and he's sort of right. I maybe overzealously lean into it, but at the end of the day, you know what? I don't. Right? I ignore him because he doesn't know what he's talking about, and I get that reciprocal payback.
Yeah.
So, what's the end message, I think, for this episode? Look in the mirror and have a radically candid conversation with yourself. Cut away all the bullshit, all the hypotheticals, all the perceptions of this is who are you? Where are your strengths? And then look there and use that as your pivot point, either into continuing or not. Second thing is give it up for others. Don't be selfish, and make that part of your networking plan, and make that part of if you're job searching, part of your job search plan is what can you do to find other people a job as well as yourself, and put other people first. And imagine that networking community if everyone is doing that, because again, it can be infectious. So those are the two key takeaways for this Metacast. Josh?
The only thing the parallel I can think of is for folks that have made it this far and maybe live in the agile space, and you think about those times you've been in a tough situation in work and there's a project deadline or just like something's going wonky. And what kind of leader do you hope you're working with? Is it the leader that when things get tough, they like tighten down and begin to micromanage and everything that was hard already got harder? That's the same thing. Is think about what kind of leader you want to be for yourself. Things have gotten difficult. Things haven't gone the way we wanted. The market is contracting. The market is in a difficult spot. There's all kinds of uncertainty that's out there. So you can choose to be that leader that you want to see, that you want to work with, that you want to work for, that when things go bad, it doesn't turn into micromanaging and squeezing more and expecting more in a tougher situation. Be that leader that you want to be for yourself. So be that thing where, just like Bob said, start thinking about, who can I help? What should I do? How do I enable others? And by enabling others, they will enable me. And I get it. It's not going to happen overnight, right? You're not going to help somebody and tomorrow you're going to get a job. You're going to have to do the hard things that you are like pounding the table, talking to the leaders in your organization about why aren't you doing this? Like, yes, this is the hard thing, but I'm expecting you to do this. Well, do it with yourself. Do it with yourself in this moment right now when things feel impossible, when you feel like you're on this death march of, I've submitted 1,000 resumes and I haven't gotten a job. Okay, it sucks, but what are you going to do? What kind of leader are you going to be for yourself? So be the leader that you're coaching other leaders to be, and you're going to find out, holy shit, this is really hard. I got to make some tough decisions. I got to find a way to change some things. I got to calm myself down and refocus. Whatever the things are that you have to do, you're going to find out how hard it is to be that leader. You might be finding it out right now, but that's that thing you want everybody else to do. Now's your moment to do that thing and to really deliver for yourself as a leader for your career and your family, whatever it might be. This is that moment. This is the inflection point where you're going to become the leader you want to be, or you're going to continue to be frustrated.
Choice is yours, Metacasters. I think we laid it on the table nicely, Josh.
Yeah.
Maybe a little sphinctering was going on. But we laid it on the table, and we're here for you. We're believing in you, Metacasters. Yeah. We don't lightly. Josh and I both understand how challenging all of this stuff can be, but we have no choice. You have no. The choice is status quo or do something different, and status quo typically doesn't work. So with that, from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina,
and beautiful downtown Fuquay Arena, North Carolina,
I'm Bob the Hitman Galen.
And I'm Josh the nail guy Anderson.
The nail guy.
I don't know.
Anderson. Shake.
And bake.
And bake.
I got to get better at that. Oh, that's terrible.
I think of you as being the Rock.
Okay.
The Rock. Josh the Rock